There are many types of sales environments, which therefore gives rise to the need of different types of sales. Now, different types or different approaches to sales, I would rather say. Now, one side you would see a person in a rural environment trying to sell seeds or pesticides or fertilizers. This is big business by way, yeah. And on the other side, you might have uh, a salesperson from the airline industry who's trying to sell aeroplanes. And these give rise to totally different environment in which the sales has to be done. While the rural environment, we can all understand there is a difference in the environment, there is a difference in the complexity of the product, there is a different um, uh, understanding related to the there's a difference in the amount of finance which goes behind every small bit of sales. So while a large farmer might perhaps spend more than a small farmer, but here in any case, when we compare the environment, um, and of course, sorry, the other part is the customer. Now, these are the four things which would be fundamentally different when we compare these two. Now, consider the environment in which a salesperson from Boeing or Airbus is trying to sell. The environment is very different. It's the perhaps the ministries or the large private players who are running the fleet. The options can be lease, buyback, outright purchase, very many financial complexities there. The product is complex. It needs huge amount of training. It needs spares. The financial models can be very different. It's not only buy, but there can be other approaches. And the customer is a very, very different one. I wouldn't say evolved, because the customer here is definitely evolved for his requirements and the customer here is evolved for his requirements. But since the two environments, as we see, are very different, these give rise to different sales profiles and different approaches to sales. So what are the two approaches to sales? Largely, if we see what I mean by what I'm trying to put it in perspective, there are two approaches to sales which define the nature of the product or what is being sold. The first bit of it is what we call is complexity. What is the complexity in the offering? And so the more complex the offering, the more difference is there in the sales profile. So need not say that a person who's selling a tractor and a person who's selling Volvo, a bus, a luxury bus, are two different things, because here the complexity in the sales environment might be different. And the other side of the story is the financial involvement. In every decision that is being made, what is the size of the finance? So as the complexity grows and as the financial involvement grows, the salesperson's profile becomes a very, very different one. So here you can't have the same person. So if we label person 1 and person 2, they will be very, very different people altogether, depending on the complexity and the nature of finance which is needed to make the sale. Now again, I would go back to say that maybe the companies are equally big, whatever. Maybe every ticket size of the sale is what we are referring here. So if someone is thinking of chocolates or something, the companies are big. They're very, very big global companies. Nestle, Cadbury's, they're large ones. Or Kraft. But the ticket size of every sale is small, and so therefore the Accordingly, the complexity in the whole interaction is different. And the other bit of here is that if you take the company like Airbus, Boeing and all, here it's a different profile altogether. So depending on the complexity and the financial involvement, the approach to the sale is totally different. And the second thing which differentiates how you go and access to the market is the business model. Today we know that just considering the case of retailing, we know retailing can be done in two ways. One is traditional channel based, the other is through online web based. Now depending on the business model, again the your approach to sales or the salesperson required will be very different. So what actually happens in these two cases is that the nature of the sale gradually progresses from being transactional to being consultative, and to an extreme being collaborative. Now what I mean again is that, let me just take examples. Okay, so sorry for that. So let me just take a few examples here. When we are talking of collaborate transactional sales, this is where we talked of the situation 1 here. When we talked of consultative sales, this is the situation 2 here. And when we are talking of, or you can talk of consultants who are going all over and selling, and when we are talking of collaborative sales, this is when two people come together to make an offering in which both of them benefit. For example, if someone is trying to set up a large real estate project, the finance can come from a financial institution and the real estate project can be made by another developer. So two of them come together to create the sales proposition. That is a collaborative sale. In very often in collaborative sales, governments also get involved. Now depending on what's your business model, what's the level of complexity, how do you want to interact with this, every bit of the sales environment changes. Now the same business can have multiple of these models working together. For example, if you look at insurance business, it has both the transactional through agents, then it has online, it has consultative. There are consultants who go about and sell the high value ones, and then there are also collaborative frameworks where people are collaborating through the bank assurance route. And when you look at bank assurance route, in that a bank and an insurance provider is coming together to offer to the bank's customers. So different approaches are used, different ways are used. But the important thing is that depending on what is your approach, what is your way, you need to design your sales channel accordingly or your sales systems accordingly. So for further details, do contact METL@METL.in. So think about your business, think about your business model, think about the financial and the complexity from the customer side, the customer's profile, and then design your approach to sales.